All right. So we're going to jump into the next set of questions here, and that's grief over time. We did already hit on a few of them, so we'll kind of go, so we can move on. We'll kind of skip over those. We're going to talk about the anniversary of Bella's going home, and how your girls dealt with that, how you helped them process that. So, um, the passing away date was June 1st, 2024. So then we went to June 1st, 2025. And did they remember that on their own? Um, I mean, I know it wasn't hard for them because that's recital time, and that was during that big event. So, how do you felt like you handled that with them, and how do you think they handled the very first anniversary?
I think that first spring recital that was around the anniversary, I think it was very challenging, especially because they had to do their Bella dance around that time,
Yeah.
right? And so I know when they would do the Bella dance, I would have very specific memories about the week that Bella was in the hospital, and I have to imagine that they also did the same.
Yeah.
So I I know this is really hard because I don't want to say like it restarted grief to the same level that it was when she first passed, but we did struggle a lot more around that time.
So it brought on one of those waves
Mm.
that you guys were talking about earlier, just
Those are
another series.
trigger,
Oh yeah.
was a trigger moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any of those big dates, Bella's birthday, the recital, even when they would have practices with that production number, uh, for a few days, typically Nora would get a bit more withdrawn, and then she'd kind of come back a little bit, and the cycle would kind of continue. Um, but uh,
In your guys' opinion, having a daughter doing a dance, it was a, tribute dance, and having that whole year of, next dance season of having to do that, do you think that was helpful in the kind of not moving on, but moving through grief? Do you think it was detrimental? Looking back at it, that first year, what's your thought?
I think it was really helpful.
Mm.
I mean, yes, there were times where it was hard, but I think what our girls learned, and it's something I think we as adults still have to learn too, but they learned that you can hold sadness and grief and happiness and joy at the same time.
Yeah.
Like dancing always brought them joy. Yes, they're doing this really hard thing in honor of their friend, and it still is a really sad thing, but you can still have joy alongside it. Like you can have both. It's not like you have to live with one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's complex and complicated, but I think they learned that and they did a really good job of balancing that.
How I looked at it, Carrie, you're exactly right, 100%. How I looked at it at the time is when you exercise, um, your muscles literally tear down,
Right.
right? And then they repair themselves stronger. And I feel like when our girls did Bella dance practice, that's what was happening. Like
Right.
they were getting torn down, but they were also getting built back stronger.
Right.
And so the dancing and honoring their friend, and when they hold Bella Bear, it's comforting,
Right.
right? So it's an hour of sadness or hour and a half, however long dance practice is.
Right.
But it's time of maybe some comfort.
Yeah.
Also, comfort knowing that I'm surrounded by 20 plus people who feel the same as I do.
Right.
Right. And then there's sadness and comfort. So
Do you think that do you think that it made them feel close to Bella doing what they did together? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they danced with Bella. That's how they knew her. They met her dancing. They went out dancing. They literally danced together the night before the accident.
Yeah.
So that is what they remembered. And even though maybe it brought sadness, like you were saying that to the confliction there, like it brought sadness because they weren't dancing with her anymore. But at the same time, it made them feel close to her when they were dancing. I know it does that for me. And that's why I say that. And so I wanted to know if it does, as an adult, if it does that for me. I had some friends ask me, why do you go to the recital or to the competition or recital, whatever it is, but why do you go to the competition? Why do you put yourself through that? You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. For two reasons. For the same reasons I would think the girls. One, that is familiar to me. It brings me comfort to know I'm doing exactly what I would have been doing. So I find comfort in that. Even though it's hard, even though I get sad or I feel bad, I feel like home, like that's home for me. So I'm wondering if that's how the girls felt when they were dancing, even though they weren't dancing with Bella anymore here, just doing dance for her in honor of her, or just doing dance in general makes them feel close to her. Do you think that's their experience or not? Am I just completely off base on that?
No, I would think so. I mean, she's missing, right? I think
Right.
they definitely still notice she's missing and she's supposed to be here and she's supposed to be on this team with us. But you're right, like dancing is what they did together and what they loved doing together. And yeah, I think they absolutely feel closer to her when they do it. And she's still there,
Yeah.
right? Like in her own way. And
Mm.
she lives in their hearts too. And, they still include her in all their future plans and
Plans.
discussions.
Yeah.
Yes, Nora and Gracie are already planning the dance studio they're going to own when they're older. And
Yeah.
I
They're
think it's
coming for you,
called,
Corey. They're coming.
I think they even called it like the Bella Grace Dance Studio. Like she's
Yeah.
always going to be a part of their lives. But again, it's holding that sadness and joy, together.
Which we do all the time.
Yeah, I remember going to a competition or a dance or the studio for something, and we, spoke to the dancers and the families, talking about doing the hard things. And, I think we've kind of done that throughout this whole time of doing the hard things and then teaching the girls that sometimes life is hard and you have to face these hard things. And they watched you guys emulate this, doing the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
And it I won't say makes them tougher, but it makes them stronger. It makes them more resilient. It makes them just I think a better person to realize that I don't want to do this. And this is going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable,
Yep.
but I have the strength inside to be able to do this. And so it makes the girls um, stronger,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do think that.
it's all like that process of sanctification. And, as believers, we know that we are going to struggle and suffer here on earth. Like we're not exempt from that, but God promises that He will be with us through it.
Mm-hmm.
And, as hard as it is, um, I think there's going to come a day, especially when the girls are older, where like this whole experience will be used for good and for His purpose. We might not know what that's going to look like yet, but um, this whole Bella will always be a part of their story and a part of their testimony and who they are. And I really believe the Lord's going to use that someday.
Yeah,
Them.
I strongly believe that. The Lord is already using them. They danced a beautiful dance in honor of their friend, but they don't even know how that touched other people. They may never know how that dance touched other people in that room that day, watching on the live stream. They may never know who it touched, that dance, until they get to heaven and someone walks up to them and says, I saw you dance in this dance and I was going through a really tough season and that dance helped me. I don't even think they understand how they're already helping people. And I mean the girls have even they made bracelets. Remember Kara took some
Yes.
bracelets and sold them at a church function or something.
It was like their
church?
little homeschool children's market.
Yes, and
And
you got to share Bella's story. That takes
Yeah.
courage. That takes courage to do. All of this is training for something that God has for them. There's always a plan. There's always something, and whatever that future looks like, they're going to incorporate all that they're learning right now. All of it. I believe that I don't believe that anything happens just for chance, for, oh, well, this is just a part of our whatever, our past. No, this is something that's going to stick with them, like you said, and God's going to use it for them to, and they're already doing it and they don't even know. So we're going to move on. Next question. Okay. So, we kind of touched on this a little bit when we took a little break, and I want you guys to bring it up again. So what signs told you that your child was healing? So if you guys want to talk about what you guys have said about the Bella Bears, even though they still miss Bella, I think for me, this was a hard one. And I think you and I have had conversations about this, that just because they're not carrying Bella Bear with them everywhere anymore, or if they are, sometimes it's fluid, sometimes they will be, but just because they're not doing that doesn't mean they don't miss Bella. It doesn't mean that they forgot her. And I think for grieving parents, one of the hardest things is to accept your child being forgotten. You and I think all of us have talked about that. And it's not that you want people to feel the way you do all the time. I don't want the girls to be devastated all the time. That is not what I want them to feel. But there's a part of me as Bella's mom that doesn't want her to be forgotten. And so I think this question is when you were talking to me on the break about the healing and how Bella Bear can go with them sometimes or not go with them. I think that's part of that healing. And sometimes it's hard for me to hear because I'm like, oh, I want them to want Bella Bear forever. In fact, one of Bella's friends was like, you don't have to get me like these little girl shirts anymore. And I was devastated. I was like, oh, what? What? You mean you're not going to want a panda shirt when you're 30 years old? So what would you say? What were some of the signs that your girls had that you knew they were healing, but they still miss Bella?
I will go first. For Gracie, it was her sleep. When
Mhm.
she slept better, and I'll talk about that when we go into the school stuff. But when she started sleeping better,
Yeah.
I knew she was healing. Yeah. But I do want you to talk about Bella Bear because it was mirrored in my own house too.
Well, Bella Bear became like a visual representation for where we were at in our grief. So, I mean, she still sleeps with it every single night.
Oh, yeah.
It's, it has a very special place. But when she was having a harder day, the bear went with her. It came to the library with us, came to Chick-fil-A with us, wherever we went. If she was having an easier day, it lived on her bed in the middle, nice and pretty on the pillow with all the other panda stuff you've gotten her. So still there, but wasn't necessarily like attached to her hip.
Right.
And she still comes with us. She came with us to competition.
Oh, yeah.
She still comes on vacation with us, but she's not always maybe there every single day. But another thing I saw was just when things that used to be triggers suddenly became things of joy. So, Bella loved pandas, and initially whenever we would see panda things, it would just make Nora sad. But now we go to the store, and if something has a panda on it, she's running up to me, Mom, we have to have this. You need to buy it for me. So we have pandas everywhere. So now they bring her joy. Like she sees a panda and it makes her smile. It doesn't make her sad. And I think that was like a really big turning point.
That's growth for
her.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's good. We don't want the girls to be sad. We want them to be sad when necessary, but also see the joy. Like I can look at Bella's picture now and have joy. And then there are some days where we'll show each other the picture and we fall apart. So you're going to still have that.
It's a fluid thing. That seems to be the word that we've been using the last couple minutes is fluid. And so.
Okay. So this next set of questions, are going to primarily go to you just because it's school. Although I think I'll, have you interject some things too. Because even though Nora isn't going to an actual physical brick and mortar building, she still goes to homeschool groups and still has to deal with outside people. So we're going to help people or parents navigate outside influences in talking about children in grief. How did the school respond? And I already know the question, but maybe you can help other people. Were they helpful or were they lacking in Gracie's school?
School was extremely helpful. And so when she started the school year, I did not come out first thing out of the gate telling her teachers what happened. I did not do that. Meet the teacher night, the teacher gave every child a picture frame that they could decorate. She brought it home, decorated with Sharpies of all colors, best friends all around the frame, and put a picture of their tap dance in the frame and took it to school. About a month into school, we get Gracie's primary teacher, she had 2 teachers, sent an email to all parents, said, "Hey, we're getting reports of students not sleeping well. Sleep is super important. Please make sure your child gets to bed on time." I replied back, "Hey, so Gracie doesn't sleep very well, like at all." And I explained to her that her best friend passed away over the summer and Gracie just has a hard time sleeping. And we're working on it and we're getting through it, but I'm really praying she has some good friends this year, that kind of thing. And the teachers immediately replied with, "Oh my goodness, we had no idea. We see the picture, we did not know this. If Gracie is having a hard day, just send us an email, subject line, handle with care." So if she did not sleep well the night before, or I was driving, how I would do is I would take her brother to school and then drive her to school. If a song came on the radio or a topic came up in the car that just triggered her crying on the way to school, then I would send her teachers an email, handle with care. And they were amazing. They would just say, "Hey, do you want to talk? Do you need a hug?" And then it was it was such a gift.
So you recommend people being honest with their staff, wherever their kids are going to school,
Yes.
let them know what's happening.
Yeah. And I didn't tell the school counselor. Her teachers were amazing enough that I didn't feel like I needed to loop anyone else in
Right.
there. But I wish I would have done it even before the first day of school, because not only was her sleep impacted, but sometimes the girl just felt sad and she didn't maybe want to read out loud in their books, or she didn't want to be as engaging as she usually is. And the teachers were great. They would sense that and
Now,
make it easy for her.
is that something that was your experience? Is that something that schools in general do or are supposed to do? Is there a protocol for that or is that just kind of
That
your experience?
that was our specific experience. I don't know if that's something that all schools would do, but thinking about it, and I think people go into education because they like kids and care about them. That's honestly what I believe. I don't think anyone goes into nursing like you because they hate people getting better, right? I
Yeah.
think people become teachers because they want kids to be better.
Yeah.
And so I would probably recommend that any parent going through this, talk to your child's teacher and maybe ask if you can set up a similar, what do I say, situation, but process.
Yeah.
Handle with care.
It sounds like a very good set of circumstances to be able to have the families and teachers working on the same page for the betterment of the child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll also give them some insight to why maybe the child is acting a certain way. Like, the teacher would probably notice Gracie was falling asleep or she didn't want to interact. It would be very helpful, I would think, as a teacher to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So verbalizing, I think, is important.
Yeah.
In homeschool group for you, Kara, when you would go to, let's say, a nature group or something, did you tell the other mothers in the group kind of what you guys were all going through? Or did you feel like that was more private?
Well, the group that we have is pretty small, and all of the moms, because we're small, we've actually known each other for years. So I knew all of them well enough that they knew what was going on. They had known what was going on because they were praying
Right.
too. So it was helpful for them to know because they could share with their own children whatever they felt was appropriate to share. Like they
Gosh,
made that
even more
choice.
kids that weren't even directly involved.
Yeah, because they were friends, friend of a friend. But it was helpful, especially because for a while Nora had a couple girls in the group that were similar in age, and I noticed she wasn't like hanging out with them quite as much. What Nora was preferring to do was to hang back with the littles, like the little toddlers and preschoolers. And she's always been around them, but she was a little more intentional about hanging with them because she could just be little Mama Nora.
Yeah.
And they're not going to ask questions about
Right.
why do you
Yeah.
look sad or,
Yeah.
you know, anything like that, like the older girls would. So it was helpful for the moms to know so they could help their kids understand, hey, Nora still loves you and is still your friend. She just might not want to hang out as much right now, you know, but she will eventually.
She's going through something hard. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Happens for kids. It happens for adults. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So moving on with the same set of questions, how did the outside friends react to them, and how did that impact your child? Like the school friends or the homeschool group friends, like the way they reacted with them or encountered them. How did that make them feel? Did they feel weird? Maybe alienated? I'll let you start, Lacey.
Well, um, before Gracie joined company, we prayed every night that God would bring her some friends because she didn't really connect as well with the kids at school, right? But she connected with her girls at dance. My goodness, they connected.
Yes.
they
They
connected
were,
like the moms all connected.
We did
Yes,
quickly,
yes.
and we know that that was God because that was such an important year.
yeah.
Like I think obviously the Lord knew what was coming, which is all another topic of being upset about, but he does. He knows what things are coming, so he puts people in your path for a certain reason, a certain season. And yeah, so
She did not
continue.
have a lot of friends at school, so I did not end up having to tell a lot of parents.
Right.
So I don't. So to answer your question, that was kind of a non-issue for us
Okay.
because her best friends were at
Dance.
dance, and so we all experienced it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Um, you know, I don't think there was any awkwardness or anything. She has a couple of friends who they haven't lost a friend, but they recently lost like a grandmother or something like that. And so there was a little bit to relate to there. And I think, you know, I noticed them being comforting. Um, I think it was also a comfort to her that, you know, when I shared with the moms what was going on and I said, hey, she doesn't really want to talk about it. I think they were good about telling their kids that because nobody asked her.
That's good.
Nobody brought it up or put her on the spot where she would have to say what was going on. They just hung out with her. You know, like
Mhm.
there wasn't anything different. And I think Nora appreciated being treated normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that you know, she could go there, pretend things were normal for a while, and then kind of get back to reality
Yeah.
later.
Well, we're going to skip the next question because Lacey, you kind of answered that. What role did teachers and counselors play? And we know that for you, they were wonderful. And for you, they were other moms, so they can relate as being a mom and having to go through that must have been hard. And you've already given advice to other parents about advocating for their child at school. You definitely recommend that, getting all the teachers and parents on the same page. If you're experiencing that, that would be the best protocol to do. To help in the long run. So this is going to be again to you. What would you say would be some keys when parents should seek professional help? So you being in that profession, somebody had to make a choice. We had to make a choice. We need to go see someone. We need to go talk to someone. I don't think that any of the four girls all ever, I mean, she had an indoor, she had an in-house counselor, but I don't think any of these four girls had to go to an actual counselor. I do know one of Bella's friends that did have to go. But what would be some signs that parents can look for that we need to get them some professional help?
So whenever everything happened, I reminded myself that people need a minimum of a year to grieve. And so my personal decision, now this could be different for everybody,
Right.
but my threshold That's the word I wanted.
Hey, it's so
Threshold.
fancy.
Yeah, SAT word. My personal threshold was about a year. We're gonna see how we're doing over this year. And if I don't see any improvement, first of all, if I didn't see any improvement at all within 6 months, then we probably would have gone. But if I'm not seeing some improvement over a year, then we definitely needed to go talk to someone. And probably sooner than later. I didn't want to stretch it out 5, 10 years. And then we're dealing with a lot of behavior issues
Right.
at that point. But I would check in with myself. What am I seeing with my husband? What are you seeing with Gracie? Maybe about every month or so. And okay, are we seeing some signs of at least incremental, like tiny healing? As
Right.
long as we were moving in the right direction. I never expected her to not cry. I never expected her not to grieve. I never expected her not to show some emotion. But as long as we were making some progress,
Yeah.
then we were doing good.
Okay.
So
So
if you're seeing no progress, just every day, just in the dumps, or attitude or anger or uh, lashing out, then that would be we need to go do
that's
this.
why we went to counseling.
Yeah. And honestly, what I'll say is our girls had group therapy
Right.
at least twice a week,
Yeah.
every single week.
And those teachers were amazing. They even prayed with these girls and
They were
talked about it.
they were
and-
put in positions where they could go somewhere and just know, just like you mentioned earlier, that my friend is also hurting and
Mhm.
I'm hurting and I know I'm not alone today.
Mm.
There's power in that.
Oh yeah,
I am not alone.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even on Nora's hardest days, she wanted to go to dance class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there was never a day where she was like, I don't feel like going to dance today. Like, she wouldn't want to do other things, but she had to be there.
I think that was their saving grace, so to speak. The
I
Lord
mean,
used that.
Yes.
That's, to your point, that was their counseling. That was their um what's the word? Uh, um
Release.
Release. Yeah, they're being able to vent and
Well, I mean, it's even been proven that dance actually helps with depression. It actually helps the body regulate and release endorphins to help regulate depression and anxiety. It is like scientifically proven. And I think there's so much
all
truth
right,
to
I
that.
guess I got to take a break
I
dancing
think we
class.
need to put you in ballet. I'm Chrissy Orange coming to ballet class.
No,
Well,
that
you do
was-
that, and we're all going to need counseling.
I was gonna say I need to know what day and what time that class is.
So we can videotape it.
And I can rent a popcorn machine.
Sell tickets. We'll go viral. Yeah.
We'll have all the men join. It'll be a great class. Okay. So keeping on track. So I know you like us to keep on track here. How can parents find grief informed resources for children?
There are so many out there, and really kind of we live in a giant country, right? And every state and area is a little different, mini
Mhm.
culture. So what I would do is I would say go to the professionals,
Okay.
right? So if you just Google find a therapist, you'll find several websites that'll just say, "Hey, here's local therapists in your area."
Should you
And
find ones that are specific to children? Because I know there's some therapists that would prefer not to see children. They'd rather see adults.
yeah.
So can you, like, when you're Googling, would you say therapist for children?
Right. So, as a counselor myself, I used to advertise through Psychology Today. They're not paying me to say this,
Okay.
so I'm just telling you what I what I
This
did.
is not a plug.
No. So if you just like Google find a therapist, it usually takes you to Psychology Today, and then you can use the filters, find someone that deals with children. Find or not deals with. I'm so sorry. That wasn't good wording, but works with kids, and then someone who specializes with grief, and
Okay.
go there and find those resources.
What about asking like family members that might have worked with, like I found somebody through you and, and for him through you, it was, would it be good to ask others maybe close friends that, hey, I know you went to counseling. Who do you recommend? Would that be a good?
Absolutely. Yeah, word of mouth is probably one of the best ways to find somebody. But just just be vocal, and it's really good to ask people for because in a way that's asking for help.